According to Uber, human drivers got maybe 10 years before they'll be replaced. We're going to talk about that and one other topic on this segment of the Gig Geezer.
But I do think that the human displacement here, while it's not something that is going to happen tomorrow, is going to happen eventually, and it's something that we have to think about. Society has to think about.
I want to explain this before I get into this segment. I've made a decision to incorporate more footage from the Geezer Studios because ultimately in the editing and uploading process, it takes less time. The camera is fine from a higher resolution quality, so that gives you better picture quality. However, it takes longer to compile on my editing software, and it takes even longer than you can imagine when uploading on YouTube. Now, the other thing I want to come out with is, hey, my usual line. If you like the content that's been provided in this segment or in any other segment, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome comments in the section below. I'll just come out and say that my brand here on YouTube is questionable at best. The reason why I say that is because nobody can ever mistake me for playing to anyone's crowd. I've always marched to my own beat. Anybody that's known me over the decades will tell you the Geezer has marched to his own beat. Now, what I'm talking about is something that I've held pretty much in the can for at least a month. I felt today was the day that I needed to at least broach this subject, and that's about thirst lines. The things thirsties say to justify their moves. And when I hear people say the following things, I first cringe, and then I think that's yet someone's way of justifying yet another thirst move. What are some of those lines? I just took it to make money. Fuck it, I'll do it. At least it's $1 a mile. I'm not leaving any money out there on the table. I just got to do what I got to do. Get your money. Don't listen to anybody. Got to get that bag. Money's money, as long as they pay. I made fill in the blank number of dollars an hour. Well, it's better than a 9 to 5. Well, why not? I'll definitely do it. Now, put it like this. You won't earn certain numbers coming out the gate in pretty much any business enterprise. But if you've noticed any of my content over time, I've also suggested that you'll live and you'll learn. At least you should live and learn. You'll come to understand what is a good opportunity or what is not a good opportunity. You'll gain confidence in negotiating for dollar amounts that you believe you should be paid. Now, I want to say this too. I'm not calling out any specific content creator, although I am. My thoughts are based on a recent upload that I've seen. I want to say up front that I do respect his effort. In fact, I made mention of his channel several months back when his subscriber count was still barely into the hundreds. Do I say what he posted is a thirst move? I'll say this. I've seen even worse. Way worse and people thinking that they hit the fucking bonanza with something that was even worse. So what I'm saying based on fact is that he posed a question, what did we think of his completed opportunity? He felt it was a banger. But I didn't think so. In fact, that's what I commented. In fact, I said I would not even call it great. In fact, I even said exhorted, stop using the $1 a mile rationale. Now, the opportunity he completed was a 100-mile trip that earned him, rounded up, $175. I would merely shrug my shoulder at that opportunity because I've had the experience of knowing of opportunities that were proportionally far better. So let me share why. First, I'm going to scale it down to the levels of DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and you'll see what I'm saying. All right, so he earned $175 driving 100 miles, loaded distance. Would you call a DoorDash order that's offering $17.50 and 10 miles a banger? Some may say it's a banger, others may not, claiming that it's too many miles right from the start. And the fact of the matter is that those who have been on the app long enough have seen far better gig food delivery orders in their experience to know that that is basically just another order. One that's paying more than many of what they've been seeing coming across their phone screen. Now, there was a time in recent memory, for example, when it was not uncommon to see DoorDash offers that offered it straight up when it came out $20 plus. And you knew that it was going to be, if you will, a banger, paying much more than that. But I'll give you another example on a brokered load scale. I mentioned about doing some brokered runs to Atlanta. Most of them have had loaded miles of about 280, and they paid $475 to $525. That's basically the same money. But that's not something I'm going to say is a big fucking deal, a big fucking paying payload. No, I'm not. I'm not even going to call it a banger. To me, a banger would be one that I posted on my community page recently, in which I showed the contrast of two completed opportunities that were done on the same day. One of them was in which I pointed out that a driver in my market, the Columbia, South Carolina area, completed an opportunity that paid 190, and he drove 117 loaded miles. I completed a run 115 miles, and it earned me $625. Now, you be the judge. Now, leave it at that. I'm going to give you another example. Earlier this week, I completed a load board based opportunity that paid $350, and the loaded mile distance was 85. I'm not going to say anything else about it because I've also completed that same run on over the same distance for better amounts, like $450, $470. So for me, that $350 earning was basically middle of the road. And even just yesterday, I'm going to share this. And I normally don't share things like this. The same app that this driver made reference to, the same app had a similar opportunity of 100 miles in my market. The offer amount was $150. Have I completed something of similar dollar amount on that same app in the past? Yes. Have I made a habit of it? Hell no. And I'll repeat again, hell no. And I'll tell you why. Number one, based on distance, I'm usually thinking a minimum of $250, more like $275, but more realistically, more than my share of opportunities have been completed for in the $300 or more range. And I've even shown some receipts of these opportunities I've even shown receipts of some of these opportunities in the Gig Geezer archive. Now, what I'm getting at was that order that appeared in my market yesterday, Friday, January 24th, 2025, peaked at $160 after it went up in price. I still passed on it. That's right, I still passed on it. What I did see from that same app is that they eventually downgraded that offer to where it would be picked up by a smaller vehicle. The offer amount dropped to $130. Nobody accepted it, and after a while, it went back up to $150. And apparently, someone thought that that was a great order and took it. And for all I know, it may be something that they may be using tomorrow morning in their praise and testimony service. How, yeah, I was blessed with a $150 opportunity that I wasn't even thinking about. I'll just leave it at that. Now, the teaser piece was about the clock is ticking on rideshare drivers. Whether we want to admit it or not, the clock is really ticking. And there was a media blitz, I guess you'd say, by the Uber CEO Dara K, because I can't pronounce his last name. But I noticed a recent Business Insider article that reported on his appearance on MSNBC. And then I did a little more research, and he made an appearance on Wall Street Journal, those media networks. And again, he laid out that he foresees where drivers have maybe 10 years before autonomous vehicles pretty much will be the predominant way of riders obtaining rides on that platform. I'll also note this: Dara K was one of many large corporate guys who brought alms to the incoming administration, bending their knee and kissing the ring to solicit favorable treatment. On Uber's behalf, the company contributed $1 million, and he contributed $1 million out of his own pocket. Hell, now $1 million, hey, he earned in the neighborhood of $25 million in 2024. And it's said, according to whatever source you find, that his personal wealth is somewhere in the neighborhood of 170 million. Now, he did say this from a quote. He said, "From our standpoint and my standpoint, we want this administration to succeed. We have a very broad envelope in terms of consumers and drivers. We want to engage with this administration in terms of our drivers, in terms of our drivers, what our drivers care about, and in terms of cost of living, and in terms of access to transportation," he said. It's the beginning of hopefully a dialogue. Now, in another interview with the Wall Street Journal, he said he thought that it was healthy that tech companies may stand to have a greater voice, more so out in the open than what some will say in terms of government and public
And we're going
policy.
to talk a little bit about where that intersects with EVs in a second, but just like, how many people saw the picture of the inauguration with all of the tech CEOs and everyone saw it, right? Everyone. And it's very clear that tech CEOs in general are going to seem to have some really unprecedented access or communication with this administration, which I think can be worrisome to some. Why is this a good thing in your point of view?
Well, I think it's a good thing because technology, the U.S. Technology sector, I believe, is an absolute treasure. We have built companies with incredible capabilities. I think that they are benefiting society generally. And we think that, generally, I think technology has had a self-view of, we shouldn't have a voice in terms of government, in terms of public policy, et cetera. And if you think about the impact that technology has on everyday life, I think it's appropriate to have a voice. Now, that voice should be balanced. It should be out in the open. There should be a diversity of voices that governments engage with. But I think that engagement is healthy. And ultimately, it's going to be up to governments to decide where they go. But I think having the voice of technology heard, and then governments obviously making whatever decisions they think is the best decision going forward, I think that's very healthy, and I don't think technology should be apologetic for that.
Dara K also predicts that autonomous vehicles, I'm saying this again, will outpace human drivers within the next 10 years. He said this is a technology that's going to hit prime time, and it's going to make for safer streets. That's what he told to in MSNBC. I think the technology will be ready for prime time between now and 2 years. It's moving very quickly. Commercialization will take longer. We think with our partnering with these commercial developers of autonomous vehicles will help speed up that. We can bring them a lot more business much faster.
Are you concerned about the economic impact that autonomous vehicles could have on human drivers?
Definitely. Now, I don't think it's something that's going to happen anytime soon. The technology still is limited to very limited origination, destinations, areas of operation. The mapping costs, the upfront costs are quite expensive. The hardware platforms aren't there. And I think for the next 10 years, you are going to have hybrid networks of humans and machines. But, you fast forward 15, 20 years, I think that the autonomous driver is going to be a better driver than a human driver. They will have trained on lifetimes of driving that no person can't. They're not going to be distracted. And the fact is that when you look on a worldwide basis, there are over 1 million auto fatalities per year in the world. So I do think it's going to make for safer trips. But I do think that the human displacement here, while it's not something that is going to happen tomorrow, is going to happen eventually. And it's something that We have to think about, society has to think about, and some extent it's part of our strategy as we think about our earner side, is to diversify the kinds of earnings opportunity that our earners have. So we started with driving, then we get into delivery. We have shoppers, for example. We even have a group now that is labeling, maps, AI, et cetera, helping AI companies in developing their algorithms, et cetera. So we are making investments in creating alternative methods of making money for our earner base. Who's going to get there faster? Are we going to get there faster in terms of more opportunity, or is AV going to get there faster? I don't know, but I think it's a real issue that you bring up, and I think it's a tough one that we in society have to wrestle with, and I don't have easy answers here.
According to Dara K, there are about 8 million people who are active on the Uber platform in the United States. He says he sees electronic vehicles growing in Uber's fleet. Back in 2023, they entered into a partnership with Alphabet, which is the parent company of Google, and YouTube, which also is the parent company of Waymo, the autonomous vehicle company. Waymo is steadily gaining market share, and it's being introduced into various markets across the country. Now, he indicated that Austin and Atlanta will be going live this year. Waymo debuted in Phoenix, Los Angeles, and San Francisco in 2024. But here's the catch. Autonomous vehicles are also electronic vehicles. That is a topic for additional discussion, because in its first week, an executive order was signed that ended electronic vehicle market goals to be made by 50% by 2030, an executive order that was signed by Joe Biden back in 2021. This executive order also revokes unspent government funds for electronic vehicle charging stations. It also calls for ending a waiver allowing states to ban internal combustion cars by 2035. It also curtails tax credits for electronic vehicle buyers. The current tax credit is $7,500. Now, why am I bringing this up? This runs contrary to Uber's goal that by 2030, all rideshare riders on the Uber platform will operate electronic vehicles in North America and in Europe and globally by 2040. He said that's going to be very, very difficult to hit those targets. In the West and in the United States, we have seen a significant pullback. Now, I did some other research, and the average Uber driver, according to Dara K, he says that the average Uber driver logs about 5 times as many miles as the average driver. So let's say if the average driving total is 20,000 miles a year, which is realistic, although according to some other numbers I've seen, the average driving miles per year for a driver is 15,000. It is not out of the realm of possibility that a Uber driver may put in as anywhere between 75 to 100,000 miles a year on his or her current vehicle. The average cost of an electronic vehicle is roughly $55,000, according to Kelley Blue Book, while the average cost of a gas-powered vehicle is nearly $50,000. More than 365,000 electronic vehicles were sold in the fourth quarter of 2024. And well, so there you have it. If you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer or in any other segment of the Gig Geezer, hit that subscribe button. Give my content a thumbs up. Share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. I'm Inwood Lane. As always, may your grind and may your hustle continue.